Do you know that moment when a team truly clicks? When everyone moves together with shared purpose and energy? That's not just luck, it's purpose in action. Welcome to La Mesa Talks. My name is Oscar Mota, and for the past 7 years, I've studied how purpose and creativity drive extraordinary teams. The research indicates that purpose-driven teams are 47% more likely to retain top talent and achieve 30% more higher income. Today, we're diving into discussion with a very dear friend of mine, Nicki Wilson, which is an industry leader with over 13 years of global recruitment experience across multiple industries. I first met her when I was introduced to her business, Genie, leading recruitment agency in Dubai. And I've been intrigued by her approach ever since. Nicki is the person who gets things done through her powerful network and people-first strategy. She has built purpose-driven teams around the world, recruiting top talent and shaping organizations that not only operate but thrive. Today, she will share with us some powerful strategies that she uses to transform two struggling teams into cohesive powerhouses through purpose alignment. So grab a notebook, mute your notifications, and whatever get your creative juices flowing, and join me as we explore the question: how can you infuse purpose into teams' DNA? Welcome. Nicki, it's such a pleasure to be with you here. I've followed you, and again, like I say to all my guests, I'm in awe and I admire you guys. Thank you for joining La Mesa Talks.
Thanks for inviting me.
We're super always super interested in really unlocking the perspectives, the creative perspective of team building, and just again growth and scalability without just using those buzzwords too much, because at the end it's just that corporate trap that we don't like. But people often never stop to really talk about the spine of a business, which is people, right? And within people, something more deeper, which is purpose in people, right? So I want to connect through your experience both purpose, team building, and then how do you manage to help businesses grow through that purpose-driven view? I know for a fact that you've worked in many markets, at least 4 or 5. I think UK and Denmark and Thailand, and now here in the UAE, where you have your wonderful business, Genie. Like we link everything in the description so you can follow all the wonderful stuff these guys are doing. But I want to start with, how have you seen purpose translated differently across these cultures?
So I think it all begins from my purpose. So I think that from, the day that the idea of Genie came about, it was all about making sure that my purpose, which is definitely helping people, coaching, supporting people, trying to make people think differently as well, and how I could make sure that that was translated into the business world in terms of my recruitment agency. I think that Genie is very different to the standard model of recruitment agencies. We're not transactional. We're very, we kind of see ourselves as an extension of the businesses that we work with. And I think that's super important as well, because most of our clients are able to be quite open with us. It isn't just a transactional relationship. And that actually means that we're able to deliver much better, actually, because we're delivering not just one candidate every 5 years or something. It's maybe 5 candidates every month, for a lot of these businesses. And we've really been a part of the journey with many quite famous companies in the GCC and wider from day one. And because we understand, them from day one, and because we're also a growing startup as well, I think that it blends really well, because our purpose generally is kind of similar to their purpose, I guess. It's growth, it's scalability, it's understanding how to be a disruptor in the market. How can we find those candidates that are able to also disrupt and grow? And, they're not just looking for maybe just a bigger salary all the time. They're looking to actually be part of a mission. So yes, recruitment is often seen as a transactional relationship in some people's minds, but not to us.
So just again to reframe that concept, which is very interesting. Since the beginning, and I've guessed you've used your corporate experience elsewhere to do whatever exactly the opposite is from all the whatever in the business.
I learned from a lot of bad mistakes.
Exactly. So this is something that you work in specifically since the beginning. you look for candidates, you identify purpose in them, or space for instilling that purpose?
It's a bit of a mixture, to be honest. A lot of like what we see is maybe candidates that would represent more purpose-driven environments. They might not be the people that have come from corporate, or they may be the people from corporate that are seeking something else. So we ask a lot of questions, like open-ended questions to everyone. You know, what is it that you're kind of looking for? If most people just say, I'm looking for an increase in salary, they're not the one. I'm telling you, you need to find the ones that, I want a great culture. Then I know actually, okay, I know who is a great culture in this region. Okay, maybe we can align, if there's a particular role available for them there.
You develop an eye.
Yeah, so you become an eye. Like I always think that I've got a bit of a sixth sense when it comes to candidates. I can literally immediately meet a candidate and I know what kind of company they would suit actually based on their personality. Yeah. And I think that's the difference, when understanding someone's personality fit, would they fit within that culture? But you would only know someone's culture if you'd been working with them again and again and again. And I think that's the big difference with us because we are kind of extensions of companies.
I was going to add that you are part of, and it's something like that we do as well. We insert ourselves in the client's ecosystem, not as a vendor, but as a part of the team. You do the same.
I think
in your own industry.
A lot of our clients, they wouldn't bat an eyelid if one of the girls just turned up and was working in their office. And I think that is a really powerful thing. Imagine being able to do that with salespeople. We're meant to be kind of like the bad guys, in terms of service providers. But actually, we're the good guys. You turn up and everyone gets kind of excited because we are quite open, informal people, very big personalities in my team actually, and I think that they energize a lot of teams by just calling them or turning up at the office, which happens quite a lot.
something that I always say when I'm talking to the wonderful guests that we've had so far in La Mesa Talks is that it's a little bit of a selfish focus on these conversations for me because I want to leave a document of these wonderful experiences for wonderful humans before wonderful professionals, to get actionable insights or actionable lessons to my children or young creatives that are watching us. And in terms of, yes, you can. Yes, it's possible to be a good guy and be a good professional, to do something different than make it, right, to the standards of the society that we're living here right now in Dubai or in the region, right? And I want to focus for a moment on Nicki, the fixer, but how did she get here? Because of all of those mistakes that you were mentioning before, how did you become the fixer, the connector, that sage with that sixth sense that I see something in you. I see potential. You might not be, because it happened to me, guys. By the way, I came to her the first time because she came to me. I like your profile. I want to give you a hand at a moment that I was really looking for help. It's like, I see you working in this, and this. Do you want to go for it? I was like, okay, I don't know. But that fascinates me in people. So how did you become Nicki 2025?
So I think that I've always been quite unapologetically myself, like really, I know that I'm probably not the classical, recruiter or even business owner, and I've never changed. If you knew Nicki 19 years old, I'm exactly the same. And I think that often unnerved quite a lot of people, especially directors of recruitment agencies. I think that it just unnerved them. I used to get called into rooms, you're over familiar with the client, stop laughing so much with them. Why are you asking those questions about their family? And I'm like, because I'm their mate. They see me as their friend and, they trust me actually. And I realized from these kind of conversations that I was never someone that was going to fit into a box. And actually with my own team, they do not fit in a box. I always say, be yourself. Like, we're not always going to be amazing at everything. I know my own weaknesses. Like, I also know the weaknesses and the strengths of the team. And luckily, I'm able to always fill in those gaps. And it's not about you've got to be exactly the same as her and you've got to be exactly the same as him, because life doesn't work that way and businesses can't work that way. And if you're trying to fit people into a box, you're not going to get creativity. So I go, right, okay, we're looking for someone who's 70% there. if they're 70% there, the rest can be kind of taught, as long as they can bring something creative to the table. Maybe they can show their own strengths or bring their personality or teach us a thing or two. Like, for sure, like, I want to hire people and I want to put people in businesses that can teach other people how to do things a different way. And I think that needs to be thought about, when you're doing your recruitment.
Intentional.
You need to think about that. Not, okay, this is a job description, must fit everything. And sometimes we do have clients like that, but that's also our job to be like, well, what about this wild card? In my opinion, this person might actually fit the role based on, well, they've got the right attitude, they're 70% there. I actually think that they would, add a lot of value. And we probably do place like quite a lot of the wild card candidates. We don't just follow, necessarily the brief all the time.
Skill you learn, attitude and hunger you don't.
Exactly.
Because right now you have access to information at in your hand with your smartphone. Like when you pay for an MBA, you pay for the brand and the network, right? Like you need to be well connected, but the content is there. Something that is very particular and very inspiring in the way you've done things throughout the year, and then it's good to see you also from a different lens now, like understanding, asking all these questions, because I know Nicki, Jeannie, but that history and that sort of that previous learnings and that path that was always there, like unapologetically you, like you said, I don't compromise, I don't botch into, don't laugh too much, okay, I'm not going to laugh too much. And that has something in the middle, like a red thread going, it's empathy with yourself, with your teams, with your clients. You lead with empathy.
For sure, yeah.
So that's, I think, one of your most delicious and notorious values, that you're openly empathetic, like since the beginning. How do you think empathy or empathetic leadership helps establish stronger purpose in clients, and then connecting that with people outside, as in the wild card?
Yeah.
That 30% might be just fitting in the purpose, but that's through empathy. How do you translate that? How do you play those, wear those different hats?
Yeah, I think that empathy and like leading with kindness and, having a really strong awareness of yourself and others, I think that is like a magnet for people. We always say that 95% of our leads and clients, they come to us. We're inbound. I have no one doing business development. Everyone's like, how do you get all your clients? I'm like, they just come to us to turn up. They always turn up, and we get a lot of recommendations, referrals, because I think we make people feel good, even, we're in those tough conversations. And we have a lot of tough conversations with our clients. We tell people off all the time. I've taken people to court, but I'm telling you now, they all come back to us. I've taken people to court for lots of money, and they still come back begging to work with us again, because they won't find anything else like this in the market. People that aren't afraid to tell people off, aren't afraid to pull people out of, we will pull candidates out of processes all the time, and we'll be open about that based on attitude. And, we're not there just to make money. It's not all about money. And actually, the way that Jeannie operates is we don't have KPIs. We're not that focused on the commercials. It is all about, ensuring that it is the right fit. And, we are listening to clients, and also like we're happy to kind of openly say, okay, this is not right and we don't agree and we don't want to work with you anymore. I don't even care how much money they've got, in terms of a company. Like we're a bit more like that.
I want to talk about now, moving on what we're discussing with purpose, because you do things with purpose. Like, fine. Again, it's not the money, it's the principle. I can take you to court, but nobody else can do what I do, how I do it. So you're going to come back unavoidably. You're going to come back to me, right? And that also, again, as Nicki, the human and the leader, has empathy as a red thread in leading, everything you do has that red thread of purpose. This is why we're talking. This is why we're trying to sort of dig in and pick your brain into that specific. Do you think that purpose translates different in industries? Like, it's purpose understood differently in FMCG than it's understood in recruitment, or it's understood in fintech, or it's understood in a big new startup backed up by a massive venture studio. Does it sound different? Does it relate different?
I think across the board and across different industries, it is really different. And I think that it all comes down to the leadership, to be honest, because if there is a leader who is, let's say, part of a tech startup, but then they have a strong sense of purpose and, they're kind of bringing on people that have the same kind of ideas as them, then you're going to create, that kind of culture. But then there's the other types of businesses, unfortunately, where maybe they are really, really established and then they're just trying to spring a bit of culture or, they want to do more wellness. They want to do more things like this. But I don't know if it's almost like a plaster just covering a wound sometimes. And that might not necessarily, translate the same way as a business that has started with a strong purpose. If you're just then trying to bring in a purpose or culture or wellness or all these kind of initiatives, here's a workshop, here's a mindset workshop, here's some therapy, blah, blah, blah. Would that actually cover the issue? If the issue is like really deep within, within what they're doing as a core.
You're not an outsider, but you are an observer. You're a witness of.
I know every secret of every business.
multiple phases, and that's exactly the direction of my question, because you're a witness. Have you seen that insertion? Because it's a very interesting statement position you're creating. It's either you are created through purpose, with purpose, or you use purpose as a buzzword just to put a band-aid in a super, super deep wound that is never going to heal. So in all your years building teams as a witness, as an entrepreneur, as a mentor, as the multiple hats that you have to wear, that you've worn in the past, have you seen purpose evolving as a concept? Have you seen then that insertion of the context of the concept evolved as well? Like, again, you've just created that foundation with the two kinds of things, but is it different that we're a little bit more aware that mental health, that human, because we say, and I say all the time into my team, life-work balance doesn't exist. Work is a part of life. It's not the other way around. Right? I have a wonderful team member that demands that she goes out with her dog and sits in the grass for an hour. Okay. It's like, no. Sit in your screen. No. It has evolved because we've had similar different experiences and opinions about it. So we operate differently. But you are a witness on the corporate and non-corporate thing. So to reframe the question, do you think purpose has evolved? Have you seen that concept evolve through all of these years?
Yeah, so purpose is definitely evolving, and I think people have, maybe a stronger awareness of how it can, help with retaining staff, help with productivity, help with, people being happy at work, etc. But it doesn't always translate as easy as I think people want it to, because I see a lot of posts on LinkedIn, you need to focus on wellness, work-life, blah, blah, blah. But actually, what suits one person might not suit the other person. And the problem is, how do you, especially with bigger businesses, how do you then, make sure that you are aligning it to all these different personalities and different backgrounds, and what might suit one person, like I say, doesn't always translate. It's actually really difficult to make sure that everyone is happy all the time. You almost need like someone doing that full time. And I get why now there's a lot of like people and culture managers and happiness officers, because it is a full time job. It really is. And it's separate to HR. It really is.
It is not a part of the people function. It needs to be like, how it's interesting. Let's dig a little bit deeper on that, because also I'd like to now talk on actionable stuff, inside stuff. Like we have a young female creative that wants to open her own studio but doesn't know where to start. Like, okay, I need to start. In branding we talk a lot about purpose, but we talk a lot. It's a very philosophical and tangible concept. Purpose. Your brand voice needs to have purpose, right? Your core positioning, it's your purpose of your brand. It's a little bit abstract. It's a little bit abstract yet, right? But do you think, like, and it's very interesting, in the whole people operations, like to talk corporate jargon a little bit, in the people management thing, do you think the purpose wellness should be separate, as you were saying, as the HR, the payroll?
Yeah, in this region,
stuff.
yes, because I think that it is a little bit different, especially for bigger companies, because sometimes in the people and the culture side is about like the, planning events, doing something particular to the individual. I really focus a lot on this kind of thing, but I know that maybe one of my team is more, she would prefer more flexibility at work, whereas the other one likes to get a gift. The other one might like to receive flowers, yet another one might just want to come in 2 hours late and leave 2 hours late. It's so different. And I think that if you, in a bigger company, if HR is like lumbered with that and they might not have that creative mindset, that's one thing that I realized about myself, that I thought I was just great at business and like managing myself and managing a company and coaching, but I know that I'm a really creative person as well. So I'm able to do all those things, but maybe a HR person might not necessarily always be that person, So that's where I think that it's quite interesting when other companies have brought in, people and wellness or happiness officers or whatever you want to call them. And then that's just their focus to keep everyone happy, keep a, certain guideline across the culture, make sure that everyone, things are tailored to them as well, because it's very difficult. Like, it is very difficult. I've got a team of 12 people and I tailor things all day long and I still find it quite challenging.
Yeah. There's something that you feel like it's like being a parent.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a parent.
The day finishes and you go to bed and say like, I think I was a little bit extra hard on him. I shouldn't have, or I think I should do this. I should do that.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, when you're in a position like ours, and you're leading, you have to wear multiple hats, right? And the financial officer, and the happiness officer, and the sales officer, and the strategy officer, and the police officer as well. But at the end of the day, what I'm hearing about and what I'm learning about this in your approach, which I love, is that think about wellness before profitability.
Yes. Because
it will chase profitability, chases wellness. Yeah. Chases success. If you're excellent at what you do, excellence is pursued by success and then by money. And if you manage to break this paradigm of no, you have to put in 24 hours a day of work or there's not going to function, it's a lie. It's a constant conversation we're always having. It's like, guys, if you have to work 4 hours a day, do 4 hours a day. If you want to do then the next week, you have a 10-hour day, you will have a 10-hour day, but you do you, right? That's very important also, which it's a perfect segue for my next question. How does an empathetic leader like yourself translates purpose into daily action?
I think that, well, first of all, it is ensuring that you have your own boundaries, because when you have a very chilled, open culture that does try to maintain happiness, it can be taken advantage of as well. Like, this is something that no one ever speaks about, actually. No one speaks about, how people can be taken advantage of if you're a nice person. And I think that, if you're going to go that kind of route, with like more wellness focused and ensuring that everyone's happy and creating this kind of culture, you have to know your own boundaries with people as well. And, I've had to have lots of quite difficult conversations with people, because what happens is that people think they're doing great because we're having, sound bowl sessions and you get free therapy and you can do whatever you want. But then if your productivity goes down, well, that's not actually the reason we have this kind of culture. The culture's there so that you can be yourself, but you can also be quite, relaxed, that you're not going to get told off at work, etc. But you've also got to have that kind of intrinsic kind of motivation and productivity to do it yourself. I always say that we're like all entrepreneurs and like you're all like running your own business here. So you can't just fall off the wagon just because you think, we've paid for a team holiday. So, that doesn't mean that we're just a circus and having, lots of freebies all the time. So
just to show off on LinkedIn that, we went to Bali, which by the way, Jeannie, which is a wonderful team of super powerful females that I love that. And I've kind of modeled La Mesa after what you've done, because I'm trying to push in my industry in creative at managerial or decision making levels. You don't have a lot of females that speak loud.
Yeah, and mine speak loud.
and that stomp the fist at the table and says like, no, we're gonna do it this way. And this is what I foster in my team. Challenge me. Challenge me.
Challenge you?
Yeah, challenge me. Challenge me. If you have an idea that's better than me, let's do it. Let's test it. Let's do this. And they have the reason I just got you, because I want to bring it to an attention. Like you're saying, yes, you have a lot of freebies. But because the productivity of your team depends on what they do, because it's a sales business, and as a sales business, you work for commissions, so you work for results, and your KPIs, you might not have specific KPIs, but they're going to see them at the end of the month if they did or not, right? So you have to. How do you then manage when someone falls off the wagon? In terms of, and sorry to cut you, but in terms of vision, in terms of purpose, in terms of direction, or even speed, because all of this have momentum and cost momentum. If you have aligned purpose with aligned intention, you have the tools and you're set to succeed, you get momentum.
Yeah, you'd hope, right?
Exactly.
You would hope.
Yeah, thank you. The theory is that you get momentum.
Yeah.
How do you manage then that? To let's get back to your lane and continue.
So we have a lot of, we'll speak to people directly if they are falling off the wagon, and I ask a lot of open questions, and I feel like I am very gut led, very intuition focused. And I know, like, maybe not the answers that I seek, but if I'm asking open questions and I'm not hearing what I want to hear, then they've got to go. They have got to go, because the thing is, this kind of environment does not work for everyone, and it doesn't. And like, I think other leaders should know about this, actually, that, you can create the most amazing environment, have all the perks in the world, make them rich. Even my focus is to help people make lots of money. Like, I know that I can help people make lots of money on their own. We're giving them this environment, but sometimes that's when people get either greedy or lazy, or they kind of fall off the wagon. And actually, maybe having this environment, it only works for some people, and it only gets them so far, and then that's it, because that's what they're happy with. They're happy to get to here, but I need the people that want to go up there, with me, because that's where we want to go. We want to go really high. We want to grow. We want to be the best.
You're constantly breaking ceilings.
Yeah,
constantly.
And we're a business, at the end of the day. And sometimes my business hat has to come on. And unfortunately, you have to have some tough conversations. But, all our ex-genies and all this kind of thing, they are also part of us, even if it ended, not maybe in the way that they hoped. But we're all still together. I don't know how to explain that, and I don't think that you plant a seed. I plant a seed, and
the way you work and the way you carry yourself and that purpose. And I'm gonna let you finish before I continue to my next question. But you've planted something that years after, there's like, I had once this manager.
Yeah.
That inspired me so much. She told me of so much, but she inspired me so much. And she's the reason I do things the way I do them.
I think so. And then that's why a lot of them, come back. And we still have WhatsApp group full of all the ex-team members, all the old interns, everyone. No one really, is left on a bad... no one's left on a bad kind of accord or anything. It's like they're still, even if they've been fired, they're still part of us, which is so strange. And trying to explain that to someone, that they're not mad and they're not like, it was a horrible thing. Like, it's not like that with us. Like, I think that they realise that maybe this environment was a gift, and when they reflect back on it, they're like, oh wow, I really did. Maybe I should have done that. Maybe I'm not suited for the entrepreneur life. I actually think that our environment suits people that want to be entrepreneurs or business owners, or they really want to make a lot of money, because I know that my team make a lot more money than most recruitment agents.
Do you open spaces for side businesses for your own team, or would you prefer them to be a little bit more focused on only the daily responsibilities.
Yes, again, it's a fine line, right? So a lot of my team have side businesses, and it's totally fine for me. So, for example, like Emily has her own like brownie business. They sell B2B to a number of restaurants across the region, but that's also been really good for Jeannie as well, because it's helped us have open conversations with some of the other groups that we weren't working with. So that kind of works really well. Like Kenny has her own side hustle. A lot of them have actually over the years. It's just how does that affect, their day to day, and, some of the people in the past, maybe I was a bit more aware, well, if they're going to have flexible working, are they actually focused on Jeannie or that? So you can't help but have that kind of feeling. I think that's normal.
Yeah.
So then that comes, the trust side comes in, because, a few of my team, they do have side businesses, but I totally trust them. So if they, need to work from home for that day, I trust that they're going to do that actually.
And it's reassuring, and for sure it's a confirmation on how businesses have changed and how we are educated in shapes and structures that are not really suitable for 2025 or 2030, 2035, right? It's purpose-driven, implied trust first. I had a wonderful friend here. She has a community. She's an expert in community building, over 7,000 people in 40 countries, something like that. And she always asks me the question, Oscar, how do you do it? How do you manage Gen Z? How do you do it?
Love him.
How do you do it, right? Because we're different. We're built different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not snowflakes, and no, we're built different. We have different access to information. We are brought up with different stuff, which takes me to what you were saying and purpose. And my reply to her was implied trust. You don't have to earn my trust. You have my trust. But that means that if you defraud my trust, you're out.
Yeah, it's got to be done. And I think that people must be stricter these days because of this. I would really encourage businesses to take on interns so that they understand what makes the Gen Z tick. And so many of them are really talented, creative, hardworking. It's not
100%.
All bad, believe me.
No,
and actually a lot of it is just different. It's not bad, it's different. And if you ask those open questions to the interns, they'll tell you, and then it'll make you think, okay, at first, I don't do it like that. But then if you sit back and you think, well, how could I change it a little bit so that it suits, these young people? Because we can't fight against it. The Gen Z, they're rising now, they're coming through, and that's okay.
And they thought the same about us when we were starting our careers.
Yeah.
That these kids and and industries are changing. Some want to have the same structure. Some want to have the same speed. Even like the startup world that we live in, it's 5x in speed. You have to be executional. You have to be super fast. And this is why the theory I told you, if you have purpose and if you're set for success, you're supposed to have momentum, right? These structures order you to have momentum regardless, or create momentum regardless, right? How do you reconcile that demand of momentum, even if it's not there, with purpose and empathy, like you're saying? Like, how do you, guys, maybe we have to just put on the brakes a little bit. And you have to build on this. Or just shove it in and go, right? How do you reconcile that speed required with that momentum and purpose?
I understand. And actually, I think that we went through this maybe the past couple of weeks, because we had a very big month in February and it was going 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I could see them all, slowly deteriorating, whether it was mental health, sleep, people weren't eating. And then I'm like, oh gosh, So then it's about, being a leader and saying, okay, we need to do something that is really not focused on work. So that's when we might do a sound bowl healing. I put a couple of my team in therapy even because of a few changes in the team. And it's just, again, awareness, seeing what suits people. And that maybe is the empathy part. Like I can feel the energy, and the energy was good and busy, but also I do understand that, people need to relax sometimes. And it's good to have a very fast moving business and everything, we're doing loads of deals and it's a bit Wolf of Wall Street sometimes in there, lots of screaming girls, but and it's great. But also with that comes the side of, okay, I need to relax a little bit. And, that's where business leaders really need to think about, well, what can I bring in that will help people not suffer from burnout, that will help them not leave because they've reached this ceiling and they're doing really well, but I can't do it anymore. And there's a lot more of that now because society has changed as well. People are literally saying, don't do burnout, relax and go for the soft girl approach. And, that's not really realistic, actually. You can balance it. You can balance life and work.
Work is part of life.
Work is life.
It doesn't exist there. Sometimes.
And how do you do all these things? How do you go on these trips and 5 holidays a year? Like you have to make money somewhere, and like just chilling and going for like matches every day. I don't think that's quite realistic, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you allow yourself to have this same position with your clients? You're very influential. Those of us who know you, we hear you. We listen to you. Like whenever you have to say something, you're very influential in what you publish because you're intentional, right? And you are genuine, like we established since the beginning. Do you allow yourself or you allow your team to just play this role with your client? Like, hey, let's chill out a little bit. If we're bringing people in, you have to walk the talk. It's not about purpose just because. You have to really do as you preach. Do you tell them? Do you like in the same process?
Yeah, so part of our job is to make sure that candidates are onboarded successfully. Now, sometimes when people do not use a recruiter, without them realizing the onboarding is absolutely terrible. People aren't being called, they're not being told, okay, this is your first day, this is the time that you need to reach, we need your documents, blah, blah, blah. Like this is, this is also part of our job to ensure that the onboarding has been done successfully, because that's part of it. If you have a really bad experience being onboarded, you're going to be like, what is this, coming? I need to just drop out now.
Where did you put me in?
What is this? You saw me the dream and then you left me out in the cold. No, so it's we try to do this bit as well. And on the other side, to answer kind of the other part of your question, that I do think that we do influence a lot of companies, because I've seen a lot of our clients do things like us, and like a few of our clients even a few years ago, they were like, we want to be like you guys, so we're really focusing on that. And I think that's really really nice, actually. I like to see that people are maybe imitating, because actually imitation is what did they say, a form of flattery or something. Like nice, like okay,
even if it's
do what we
other
do.
Industries, they want to model after you.
And I've had a client recently, and she came to me for advice, actually, and she said, oh, there's a lot of problems happening at work. And I said, okay, well, I don't think it's based on the team. Sometimes you have a bit of a rotten egg, but you must make sure that everyone's aligned again. How can you align people again? Well, you need to do a bit of healing. So whatever that might look like to you, it could be having open conversations, it could be doing things together as a team, like being able to trust each other and actually flow together. Like once you're in flow, that's where all the miracles happen, actually, in business. But if you're out of sync and there's a bad egg, or it's all a little bit up in the air, that's when the problems and the toxicity comes in. And no one wants toxicity in businesses, because that's when it all
let's go. That's fascinating in terms of how you've managed to expand your frontiers on the message that you send and transcends Jeannie, and then goes to clients or comes or a client that comes for a different purpose. Like I don't want to recruit anyone. I want to have advice on internally. How can I manage this to something that's small after you've been preaching? And as on a practical level, Nicki, how would you say, or how would you recommend that a business owner or a small business owner, a potential entrepreneur, identifies this need for purpose refreshing? if you mind, right?
Yeah.
Or just a little bit of shaking off the staleness of the routine, and then you've set in place this what you showed me, the wonderful affirmations cards, and then the journal, and your wellness magazine, and a walk and talk with your team and whoever wants to join.
Yeah.
That I will join for. I've been
Yeah,
invited many times. I will join. I promise. And then you have the sound healing, and you have the trips. You have multiple that
assets.
fit multiple assets that fit any kind of professional, creative, recruiter, finance, whatever you want to call it. But how do you first? And this is a twofold question. How do you first identify this need of the purpose refreshing, and then how do you identify the portfolio of different potential things that would help reignite that passion, that purpose, that love?
Yeah. How do you think that I do it? How do you think that I would do that?
It's very interesting. Knowing you as I know you, I think you try it first.
True. Yeah, that's one angle. That's one angle.
I would think that you've asked.
That's it. I ask them. You know what? I ask them. So every year, so the beginning of the year, and you don't have to do it at the beginning of the year. If you need a shake-up, like just block out a afternoon in your team's calendar and say, we're going to do vision boards. And I just want to, let's all talk about the things that we want for the next year, next 6 months, whatever it is. And then you will really learn so much. The notes that I take during these vision board sessions. So to hold everyone accountable, they all say to each other, okay, this is what I'd like over the next 6 months, blah, 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 blah. Oh, new sofa. Oh, I'd like to this trip here. Oh, I'd like to take my son to Aquaventure or whatever it is, and it's all on the vision board. So that's the things that I put into place. So I'll be like, okay, you want a new phone? Okay, so it's, April, let's do an incentive for a new phone, and whoever works towards a certain number will get that. And that's how I do. I ask everyone, what do you want?
I love it. Occam's razor. On equal circumstances, the simplest answer is the right answer.
Yeah.
Just ask.
Just ask.
Like, what do you want?
Just ask.
I want sound healing. I honestly, I don't know anyone that would say, oh, I need from my team. I'm imagining my partner, like she's one of the smartest designers I've ever met. She's wonderful, but she's very much like, she likes what she likes.
Okay.
Right? I can't see her telling me, Oscar, I want sound healing.
That's okay though, but that's why it works for some people. So, okay, maybe one of my team said, I'd like sound healing. Cool. Well, what can that teach for people that have never done it before? Yeah. So then they experience something totally new, and they're like, I had an awakening. Oh, I had some crazy dreams. Oh, actually, it felt really good. And how can that change their life? That could change their life, their family's life, etc., etc. I definitely have team members that maybe the influence, I'm a bit woo-woo, influence of doing things that are a bit out there, that it's changed their lives and then their family's lives, and they're all into it now. But actually, teaching someone how to do meditation, to deal with their issues, is that not an amazing thing? Whereas maybe 5 years ago, they weren't interested in that. They didn't know about it.
They didn't know about it because of all the stigmas and all the, mental health. You have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't feel well.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to seek help. What does that mean? But okay, seek help, but don't let them medicate you. What are the stigmas that you do? And the lesson for this, and the practical lessons, again, I always go back to, because this, I'm taking notes, Nicki, always. From you, it since I've met you, since I've come to your office, how to do better. And for me, it's beginner's mindset. I've been doing this for a couple of decades now, and it's still beginner's mindset. I have an intern that was teaching me stuff because, okay, it's great. I would do it differently, but let's try it your way. If it works, it works, right? So it's beginner mindset. It's put purpose before profitability, and it will follow. Because when people subscribe, it will follow. Be aware, be an aware human. What it means, observe or just ask. Are you okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, not for real. Are you okay? Right? And it's very interesting how all of these insights lead to doing what you're doing and differentiate you so much. and have so much success, which again, all of our narration goes to you and your team. I think because I think you're doing a fantastic job, and it's exemplary. Again, for some of us, we're not in the same industry, but are taking care of people. Again, as I tell to my team, I can go and sign and do and present myself as I don't do it, but at the end of the day, you are doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
You are doing the work, because I can put the vision in 5 seconds in someone's head, but I cannot execute it. You are. Basically, I'm nothing without you guys, right? Like that vulnerability also, and just stripping out says like, this is what we do. This is the purpose. Like I was explaining you, why are we called La Mesa, right? Why do we do things that we do? Why in La Mesa, if a girl is going through her period, I'm feeling crap. Okay, take a day off.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay, yeah. We'll live.
Because again, we're not trying to cure cancer. We're not sending a man to Mars. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
If the client, I'll go deal with the client and say, like, we're not going to live it today.
Yeah.
Even though I have clients that say, like, where's your productivity? This doesn't take you, I don't know what. It's like, well, that's another story. But respecting the process and respecting the integrity of the team leads to that. And I think it's wonderful. I'm bringing all this up because I want to close with you have a very open out there love for continuous learning and changing. Like, if I have to change, I'll change. So it's okay. But I'm curious, what recent happening or what recent insight have you learned that's been like, has blown your mind? That's something really completely different of what you're doing. Like, you know what? I'm going to start doing that.
So we did not do work from home, actually, for a long time. And maybe that's because I like to work from the office. I like to be with people. I'm a people person. I get energy from everyone. And one of my team, who's actually left recently, she was the other way. So she has ADHD and she, really suffers, let's say, always being around people. So I took that into mine and things like that. And then we started to do Fridays work from home. And then after that, we started to be a bit more flexible. Like, if you want to start earlier, you can finish earlier. Thursdays, it's up to you. Do you want to come in the office? Other days, now I'm so flexible that if people message me, and say I want to work from home today, I'm like, okay, because it's not every day. If it was every day, I think my alarm bells would be like, what are you doing? But it's again back to trust. But it has allowed me to see that I have really the right teammates now, the right team in place, because I can trust them. I feel pretty chill, if they message me saying they want to work from home, because I know that that's what they're going to do, work from home. And
productivity, to put it on a more traditional sense or concept, it's not impacted.
It's not impacted. And I definitely saw bigger numbers from some of the people that preferred to be working from home. Is that something that I think would work for everyone, though? No. And I think that's a really careful thing. And I'm not saying here, not sat here saying that works for everyone, because it absolutely wouldn't work for me. I like to be in the office. I think my productivity would take a nosedive if I was working from home all the time. Yeah. But I think, you have to really understand your person, your people, sorry. And, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, and you have a work from home policy, they're not the right team member. They're not, actually.
Yeah. Very interesting. Listen, I could stay talking for days at end with you and asking more and more and more and more. We always finish in a very interesting way with our guests, with our friends, and that's sort of a quick fire set of questions. I'm going to start with one book that has shaped your thinking on purpose and teams.
The Originals by Adam Grant. I love it. It's a great book.
What's the most surprising industry where you've seen your purpose dramatically transform results?
VC companies. I never thought I'd work with VC companies, but I don't know, like maybe the way that we present ourselves, and we just got recommended to, multi-million-dollar fund companies, and I don't know anyone else working with these businesses, and they just came to us, and I think that was because of the way that we are. Yeah.
Amazing. Morning reflection or evening planning? Which works better for you?
Morning reflection. I'm a morning person. I get up. Yeah.
Very early.
Yes, very early.
What's a digital tool that you recommend for teams to stay aligned now, specifically that you've changed?
Something that stays aligned. I love Monday.com. I don't know if everyone else uses that. I like that.
Okay, this one's quite interesting. Purpose-driven leadership in 3 or a little bit more words. How do you describe it?
Authenticity, empathy, self-awareness.
Amazing. Nicki, it's been a pleasure. It's been such an honor to have you and learn from you, see you through a different lens, understanding a little bit of what you do and how you are transforming businesses. I want to hear, before we close, a final message. What would you tell someone like me that's scaling a business, or someone that's just plain starting a business or struggling to find that mix or that purpose team?
I'd say hire interns. I know that might sound crazy, and you're going to learn so much from them. The good ones, the terrible ones, the bad ones, the ones that, take advantage, because they do nowadays. Sometimes there are a few opportunistic people out there, but you will learn everything you need to know from interns.
Fantastic. Today, Nicki, that has shown us that purpose is just not a fancy word for mission statements or just company values. It's that invisible force that pulls teams together and just drives you to do more, better, faster, and stronger. It's what transforms a group of people into wonderful performing individuals. Remember that building purpose is not just one-time exercise. It's just a marathon of finding the meaning of working together. Thank you for joining us in La Mesa Talks, and we'll see you on the next episode.